Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more intense, true-to-life stories about betrayal, family, and revenge. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and cold stone, mixed with a faint bitterness of coffee and nerves. Light spilled through the tall windows of the Frankfurt District Court, slicing the room into sharp rectangles. Outside, winter rain blurred the city into a gray wash. Inside, the tension was tangible, almost heavy enough to touch. I sat in the defendant's chair, my hands folded, feeling the polished wood bite my knuckles. Across from me, my ex-wife now, sat in perfect posture, a navy suit tailored so sharply it could cut glass. Helena Richter, CEO of one of Germany's largest logistics firms, had built a career that made the boardrooms of Frankfurt tremble, and now she was using it to destroy me. She spoke first, her voice crisp, every word rehearsed, every syllable designed to wound. "Ladies and gentlemen of the court," she began, "it has become painfully clear that my former husband has no concern other than financial gain. His actions since our separation prove a consistent pattern: opportunism, manipulation, greed. In short, he is a gold digger, entirely motivated by money and unfit to retain any stake in the company or our shared assets." I blinked slowly, watching her deliver this performance. Her words had power, the kind that could sway a jury. But what I noticed most wasn't her confidence. It was the nod of her lawyer, who also happened to be her new boyfriend, Lars. Lars, slim and impeccably suited, nodded as if rehearsed in secret for this exact moment. The symmetry of their betrayal was almost artistic. I leaned back, calm. I let them think this was the end, that their carefully constructed narrative would crush me. It hadn't. I had known this day would come. I had seen the warning signs years ago when Helena began changing. Late nights at the office, whispered calls, unexplained trips. The subtle shift from love to calculation. I had loved her once, perhaps too fully, pouring everything I had into her, into us, into a vision of life we would share. She had never been in it for love. She was a strategist, and I had been a resource. But the mistake she made, the one she had underestimated, was that I was also capable of strategy, of patience, of seeing the long game. I remembered the day I first signed her employment papers for the international branch expansions, the meetings in Vienna where I stayed late to draft financial projections, the nights spent reviewing contracts for hours while she rested comfortably, confident in my loyalty. I had grown her empire quietly, behind the scenes, while she received the applause. The gavel struck lightly. "Mr. Adler, your defense." I stood slowly, letting the room take in the quiet shift in posture, the change from defendant to strategist. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, voice calm, deliberate, "I will not dispute that Helena Richter is an extraordinary CEO. She has built a company of immense value. But what she fails to acknowledge is how that value was created, and by whom." I pressed a button on my tablet. The screen behind me flickered to life, showing financial reports, email chains, internal memos, and documented meetings. Evidence that clearly traced my hand in the growth of the company's international portfolio. Investments, expansions, strategic negotiations, all initiated, executed, and documented under my management. The jury murmured. Helena stiffened. Lars's confident nod faltered. I continued. "The claim that I am a gold digger is not only false, it is defamatory. The actions I took in the company were those of a partner, a strategist, and a manager entrusted with responsibilities that went far beyond what a spouse or external consultant would normally assume." I leaned forward, voice dropping slightly, the calm laced with controlled intensity. More importantly, the accusation of financial opportunism ignores a crucial fact. The shareholder agreement contains clauses granting operational partners, those who materially expand the company, rights to compensation and shares under certain conditions. Conditions that I have met, documented, and fulfilled. This is not speculation or opinion. It is law. And Helena Richter, fully aware of these clauses, attempted to manipulate the narrative to exclude me from my rightful stake. The courtroom quieted further. Papers shuffled. Helena's composure cracked slightly, a tightening around her jaw. Lars fidgeted with his pen. I let them sit in the tension I had carefully cultivated over months. The quiet was my ally. I loved Helena, I said softly, almost conversationally. I trusted her, worked beside her, sacrificed more than most would even consider. And for that, I am accused of greed? No, I am accused of ambition, of competence, of creating value that she now seeks to claim as solely hers. The distinction is clear. I am not here to take what belongs to her. I am here to reclaim what belongs to me. I pressed another button. This time, contracts, signed letters, and project plans appeared in chronological order, each step documented, each expansion traceable to my initiative. The room leaned in. Even the jury's pens paused mid-scribble. Helena's voice trembled as she interjected, "This is preposterous." "Not preposterous," I interrupted, voice sharp but controlled. "Documented, transparent, and legally binding." I paused, letting the weight of the evidence settle. "And while I acknowledge the personal betrayal, your affair, the manipulation, the lies, the law does not permit personal vendettas to override contractual reality. It certainly does not allow the destruction of years of partnership because emotions were mismanaged." The courtroom doors creaked. One of the clerks entered quietly, delivering a package. I had anticipated this moment for months. It contained communications between Helena and Lars, evidence of insider maneuvers, and attempts to reallocate company shares secretly, which were explicitly forbidden under corporate law. I displayed them on the screen. Emails, text messages, signed directives attempting to exclude me from bonuses I had legally earned. The evidence was irrefutable. Helena's face went pale. Lars's jaw tightened. The room smelled of tension, sweat, and fear. The judge, an elderly man with a reputation for thoroughness, adjusted his glasses. "This will be reviewed carefully," he said, voice measured. "All evidence will be considered." The hearings continued for weeks. Depositions, cross-examinations, financial audits. I remained calm, meticulous, almost unnervingly patient. Each document, each record, each witness corroborated my claim. The veneer of Helena's perfection began to crack under legal scrutiny. One evening, I sat alone in my apartment overlooking the main river, lights of the city reflected in its dark, moving water. Winter rain began to fall. I allowed myself a moment to remember the betrayal, the humiliation in that courtroom, and then the long hours, the meticulous planning, and the quiet, cold patience I had cultivated. By spring, the verdict arrived. The court ruled in my favor, not out of sentiment, but law, not out of mercy, but justice. Operational shares, accrued profits, and management authority were returned to me. Helena retained her title, but the legal and financial control I had earned could no longer be denied. Lars's influence evaporated. The corporate board acknowledged my rightful position. Sitting in my office on the 28th floor, watching the sunrise paint Frankfurt in gold and pink, I allowed myself a rare smile. The revenge had been slow, surgical and precise, not a violent eruption, but a reclamation of everything I had rightfully earned. Some betrayals demand patience. Some revenge demands law and strategy rather than fury. And some victories, quiet, controlled, and complete, taste infinitely sweeter than any moment of rage. Outside, the city awoke, the river flowed, and I, finally, felt entirely unshakable.